Okay, so one rotation of team riders has been completed. A couple of the second riders have gone, but we're at the lunch break. We thought we'd sit down, look at what has happened so far. Dee, Sam, let's get into it. Dee, I'm going to come to you first. Immediate reaction on this morning. What do you make of it so far? It's wet. I've seen a lot of rain.
Yeah. Didn't strike me as anything too unusual. I was excited for the Caroline Pamuchku test with Blake. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. It was maybe a little bit off expected. Maybe a mark or two, was it, Sam? But I thought, for me, that was. I mean, and I think Sam might disagree with me on this, but for me, that was one of the tests I was hoping would push. Like, I thought that could be lower. It didn't feel like too long ago that Sam was talking about this very progressive profile that could go and deliver a sub 25, and I kind of got onto that train a little bit. So what did it end up? 30, something along those lines.
30.5, I think.
Yeah, and then Liz Halliday comes in in the last rotation and does a 28. Same, yeah. So
yeah, 28 exactly. You seem a little bit underwhelmed by this morning's dress up.
No, I'm not underwhelmed. I'm fully on track with where I think things were going to be, and I like magic moments to happen. And
okay. There haven't been many.
So this is what I disagree on, because it depends on where you're sat. But what has been happening in Belgium throughout last year, Nations Cup, and a lot of it driven by having to get qualified through one of the youngest managers on the scene, the rise of Lara de Liederkerker. They've just won their first 5-star. If like Nicole, you're English, Dee, we're Irish. If one of our riders had gone in and taken our chance of a medal, which was at 16%, which is still a decent shot at a medal here, 16%. Like, so much good work has been done on the way here, and that's a huge part of sport. Is the juggernaut is 4 years of work, but you go in and in 4 minutes, is a short test. You take your country's chance of a medal from 16%. Directly to 21%. It's now up to 24%. They've nearly gone from a 1 in 6 chance of a medal to a 1 in 4 chance of a medal. It's huge. It's the second best ever test that's been produced by Karen. It's a massive moment.
It's an amazing individual moment. It is a story, but you cannot come to me trying to tell me that this is a big global highlight moment. To go from a 16%, rank them. What's the medal chance? It's probably not in the top 7 chances of a medal.
It's now 6th. They were top. They were 6th. It's 6th. They've overtaken. So like Australia have dropped down a good bit. I would agree with you on. So Sweden have done similar. Sweden have had the exact same move in their win chance.
Be honest with me in terms of if you're asking me, I'm sitting here with my kids watching the Olympics, and you're saying, you've got to come in here. I need to tell you something. Sweden have gone from a 1 in 6 chance to a 1 in 4 chance of winning a medal. Like, it's an amazing story for Karen Donkers. And I love the story for Karen Donkers. And I think it's an amazing story in Belgium. But as of yet, I can't see that being like hey, everybody come in.
Oh, that's not the BBC. That's not a headline that BBC need to get on with at all. But if you're coming on as an eventing, the commentators of this, what's happened this morning, has there been anything of any significance? I think you've got to say that Karen Donkers, who's been in the sport, so like she has the 4 best dressage tests now for Belgium.
Yeah, no one in this Olympics has had any more. Most experienced person in the Olympics. Like, is it 6 now? 6 Olympics.
Isn't this a 7th? I think
this is number 7, and Andrew has 8. So yeah, like.
Yeah, that was the. But what I mean is that was the moment. So the feeling that I got. So the end. Like if we watch the beginning of this and the reaction show, it's quite, we're going to Cara. Yeah, no, I don't think there's been much, and I thought that was big. I also I think Sweden will be sat there really happy because definitely the feat. Julia Krajewski delivered a brilliant test. Didn't hit her expected value. Neither did any rider in about the first 8 to 9 rider. Janelle Price was the second rider to beat her expected value. Now they were trending like nearly 3 marks, around 2.8 behind expected. Like judging was tight, and people were doing good tests and they were not getting good marks. And Sophia came in expecting a 39. There were mistakes in there. Gets a 33. That's like Sweden are now in this because remember the theme of this whole like what's happened here with the three.
When you say Sweden are in this, talk to me in.
No, as in they're gonna start coming into the like they're on a much lower, and they were coming into it on a much lower chance of a medal. It's down at 10%, but they happen. Like Lara Liederkircher won a 5-star with a 1% win chance. So these things can happen, and if like the biggest thing that's going to be like the most exciting thing will be the influence of the course here as to whether we see a non-Big Six team getting into a medal. We haven't seen it in eventing since 1980. Can a country like Sweden, Ireland, Belgium, Switzerland, Japan, one of those countries?
Switzerland might. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you that
Belgium are ahead of them now.
Yeah, but Felix Vogt still has to go, Sam. Come on. And
let's just rewind.
Unexpected. So we know that. Sorry, I mean Belgium are way ahead on actual scores, but on expected scores, even with weaker dressage to come for Belgium, like I don't think they'll get their team record. They don't have their strongest dressage. They've put their strongest dressage horse first. Taking all that into account, running the simulations, it's by how much they overachieved this morning. And Janelle Price is the other one, by the way. So Janelle's has given New Zealand a good start.
It's a good moment. Like it's not like I'm not doing it down, but I just don't think you can. I personally, as a sports fan, can't get on the train that I can come on and say this is a big moment for you all. You got to watch this, and then not
for
deliver something.
People, if you're talking to eventing people, you're not going to go into the media center and say, "Hey, Daily Mail, BBC Sport."
No, but we're all humans, whether you're talking to it via the Daily Mail or whether you're talking to it via Facebook live stream, it's still going to invoke something in you. And I know from social media and from writing stuff, if I tell people Sweden go from 1-6 to 1-4 chance this morning, or Belgium, sorry, I know that it will barely raise a flicker on social media. No likes.
I agree, Dee, but the people watching in the rain, in the stands, looking for a sandwich, watching people going around in tailcoats in a sandbox, not really know, they need to be told a story. And that's everything I've said is real. And how the Belgians will be feeling. I know how the Watson family would feel if that was Sarah Ennis, like genuine emotion.
100% in Belgium. In Belgium, 100%.
And in
I
the
think
stands.
the big thing from this is that was the standout moment. Nothing else really happened that was actually enough to kind of generate the excitement. And it's really interesting actually listening to you guys debate this, because ultimately there wasn't a huge amount this morning that actually really incited a massive amount of emotion. One thing I want to pick up actually with Julia Krajewski's first down the centre line, because actually she was a little bit off where we expected her to be. She's on a score of 26.9. We expected her to be a little bit lower than that. She did a very, very good job. And I actually think there were possibly a couple of marks in there at this point. Sam, what did you make of her test? First of all, and then let's lead into actually where we were on actual scores compared to expecteds.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice job, and my impression was that if it had come later, looking at some of the, I want to say after about the first 8 riders, I just thought it relaxed a little bit. Like for me, the theme of what's happened is some of the really bad moments haven't been punished as much, and it's interesting because it is a short test. You do sometimes see that. So like we've had like Shane Rose had one really bad flying change, and that's why he's not figuring where he normally does and missed his expected. But he was still also in slightly tighter marking territory. Christoph, I mean, and maybe these are talking points, like in terms of the score that say Chrissy Waller is on, being in the 20s again with the walk. The walk was just gone. Like that's a movement you have to write off. Now we've seen 0s and 1s this year. That's kind of been a bit of that can happen, but we haven't really seen it here. So you're getting away with some of those. I think then the likes of Julia, who goes in, and even though her horse had a bit of tension at time, like you could see he was looking at something else, but he was so with her, soft, supple, like it was. I just thought it was a really nice job, and I think she could have gotten a better mark for sure. But again, there's been 2 riders come in late. Sorry, Nicole. Her and Liz have come in. I think they both delivered really good tests for their country to go out then.
It would have been massive, actually, like to come down the centre line and put a 22 on the board from first horse when you've got 64, 65 competitors in the field. It kind of doesn't leave a huge amount of places to go. We're going to have Mark Ruddock actually on the review show, the podcast diary, a little bit later on. We'll get his take on it as well. Tom McEwen, JL Dublin leads the way at the moment, 25.8. What did you make of that?
Like I felt I let Sam comment from a kind of what it was like as a test, because obviously there's people better qualified than me, but from a scoring point of view, they had done that 20 in Cronenberg. There's different metrics that we use. So we use the expected and we use the 6-run average, depending on whether we're talking on how we're talking, but normally the Olympic teams will use the expected dressage. I think Sammy was pretty close, was he? That 25 was pretty close to the expected. Was he off?
He was a mark off his expected, but again, in a time when no one, or Sophia only was the one to miss it. So like the morning session without that Sophia test was like 2.8 marks behind expected. The 6-run averages, everyone, are in Eventing Manager. It's a great place to go and get that, and you can actually sort the field by 6RA. I go in there all the time during the competition when I want to know, because I find that is the most fun thing to do. Like I'm the most engaged when I'm watching. Yes, you're looking for a leaderboard. You are, like, of course, the biggest moment is going to be likely a Chipmunk or a Laura or someone who goes and maybe does something really big. Like those will be genuine headlines, but you're always looking for those personal things that you're looking for. Has someone missed or not missed here? And it's also quite interesting when you see people and like, oh, the test didn't go great. And and it kind of looks to you like, oh my God, poor them. That was their Olympics. And you go, oh, they hit their 6-run average. So actually that happens to them all the time, clearly. So look, that's where the 6RA is in the event, is in the app. And if I look at it, his 6RA was 24.1. So that's what he's been averaging. But
because of Cronenberg, though, I think.
Yes, exactly. So your 6RA will be off. That is subject to outliers. His expected was 24.7. So not that.
So in that case, then, where are we on the numbers actually at the end of the riders that we've seen so far in terms of what the expected scores were and where they've ended up?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're much closer to +1 because it's the judging has relaxed a bit more. So yeah, overall, I think we're 1 mark higher than expected, which is not significant. So we sometimes see Kentucky being like nearly 2 to 3 marks. I would call that. I'd call anything over 2 in either direction, plus or minus 2. You're definitely going, oh, they're really scoring hard or they're really scoring tight. They're not doing that now. And remember though, to move if you started on like +3, which is I'm saying that is really hard marking, which is what the very early session was. Now it's a smaller sample size, so you've got to be wary of that a little bit. But I don't think anyone particularly underperformed in that, apart from maybe Shane Rose. And now the overall has moved to +1. That actually means that basically since that really tough bit in getting going, the judging has pretty much been bang on expected. So it's definitely loosened up a bit.
You know the Janelle Price test that you were referencing? 2 marks better than expected. I think you might have a story there of note. I'm just looking at the win chance changes that are coming through from Georgia. And
so the if you haven't listened to the bedtime story, the kind of, and I didn't really do the team narrative. Maybe we should do from a team point of view. But the narrative coming in is you have this dominance. You've got little Roz, little Laura, little Tommy out in front, and then it's Germany. And so to give you the numbers on that, go 40% win chance for Great Britain. I think we're down now to a 17% win chance.
Yeah, 17 for Germany, dropped 3%.
Yeah. They were the big two. Then, so I think what's the most fascinating thing, I said this to you, Dee, in an Olympics, I think in individual competitions, particularly outside an Olympics, obviously the difference between first and second is the big thing that people talk, first loser, all that kind of stuff. If you don't win, who remembers second place? I think in an Olympics, it's from third to fourth. I think the difference between going home with a medal, it hangs on the wall for the rest of your life. Even what I watched the Sprinter documentary on sprinters, I think it's called, on Netflix. I think that's quite engaging, kind of gets you into who to watch for the sprinting and stuff like that. And you see people crying with such emotion having gotten a bronze medal. And and what I found fascinating about that was they were actually people that had a chance of winning. They didn't win, but they got the medal. And when that news comes through, because it's all in the sprints, it's always like photo finishes and it has to get confirmed. And so the medal, okay. And in our sport, in eventing, it was tight. It was USA just ahead of New Zealand, just ahead of France. And that's how they shift. So Karim for Florent Logua for France, and Janelle Price for New Zealand. They've turned that order on their head. So USA have now dropped to fifth on that positioning.
On the medal.
Yeah. So you've still got haven't moved, like Tommy's been, because and again it all stacks
USA,
up.
Yeah, okay.
The whole competition has been +1 unexpected. Tom McEwen in Dublin were +1 unexpected because of basically all of that. Great Britain have held at a 40% win chance and nothing's changed. Germany have dropped a little bit. Julia didn't even hit her expected value. And for me, that's why there's no excuse. Nicole, your point of going, it does feel hard. Like if you put me in a judge box, am I comfortable throwing out a 22 as the first horse goes up the center line in Olympic Games? It is obviously harder to do, but I think you have to. I think when it's your job, like when you're a Michelin star chef and you have to go in and taste food blind and do it, like if that's what, then you've got to just go, no, that is not because it's Julia, not because of what I saw in front of me.
Let's talk about what we might see this afternoon, because I have just had a light bulb moment, which I'll be very interested to get your thoughts on. So there's been a lot of rain in Paris this morning. I spoke to Tina Cook a little bit earlier on, and you could hear in the background the rain absolutely hammering down on the media centre. It was really, really loud. There are umbrellas everywhere. Who doesn't like umbrellas, team? London 52.
London, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's the one who could find this out. Like Chipmunk and London have both been to the same 4 championships as a partnership. So Chipmunk's been to one extra, which was Tryon with Julia. Chipmunk averages 20.1 in his 4 championships. London has been to the exact same and averages 23.3. There's a 2.2 gap, because when you look at them outside of the championships, they're okay. So Chipmunk tends to overperform unexpected at championships, and London tends to just miss his. I think the big we know it, and look, we saw it in Harstad.
Is that an average? Does that include like that ludicrous situation at Bertoni where he takes, what did he get, an 18 and gets that 10 for the final halt?
Yeah, so it includes that. Yeah, it's for the 4 championships. So, but that's what happens to Mickey Young. I actually think that those things do become real. Like Chipmunk has never been above a 21. London 52 has only once been below a 21. Now it's 3-1 on final finishing positions. It's 3-1 to the two of them. But like London's best
3-1 to Chipmunk. 3-1 to Chipmunk.
Yeah, 3-1 to Chipmunk.
Yeah,
and that was when Chipmunk didn't complete. Like Chipmunk has 3 top 8 finishes. London's best finish in a championship is 9th, and he's been to 4, and that's his best. And now we're talking about 3-time 5-star winner. I don't want to do him, I'm not. But you have to be and obviously Laura's not watching this because it's a live stream, because you wouldn't want to do that. But talking objectively, talking independently, and I also think there's nothing wrong with saying it. If Laura watches this back, I would say, I think you have to, because you're saying part of the challenge here of bringing this 3-time 5-star winner to an Olympic Games to deliver. If she can deliver a medal of any color, you have to. You don't just go, oh well, of course it's London and Laura, of course they're going to win a medal. You have to say fair play. Like, they've, in their 5th championship, they've learned they're going to manage the umbrellas, but they've got to manage. Can they manage the umbrellas?
It's a good point.
Heather
But even without the
said
umbrellas,
far enough away. I mean, in the stands, there are literally umbrellas everywhere, I would say. And so I think for me, it's how many umbrellas are in the kind of the walkway and stuff to it. My guess is that the British team will be getting everybody to get a little bit wet for a short while. It's just an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because actually we're looking at this and kind of saying, right, what have we got in store this afternoon? Who can go and be at the top of the leaderboard? Does this then throw things out to Ros Cantor, Lordship Scrafolo, who, I mean, he seems to love the rain. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing their test, because for me, and I hope I don't put a jinx on it, Walter is a horse that actually, he doesn't always have the flash. He is just really, really, really consistent. And it feels to me like there have been moments in the test. I know. But there's been moments in the test so far that we've seen that there's been a bit of tension creeping in. There's a lot of atmosphere and there's a lot of kind of noise. And actually, is that going to play in his favour?
Yeah, it is atmospheric. I don't think you can disagree with that. There's a little, like, the person doing the gate at letting them in and out of the arena, then goes and sits in a little trimmed, she doesn't sit, she stands in a trimmed bush area with their head popping up. So there is literally a bush at the end. Yeah, and they're having to gallop. They're doing extended counter down the long side into a head popping out of a bush. That is like, even I'm going, what's going on there? Like, and I'm not a horse. That is not something you see every day. So those little things, but you can see when they come in and out of the arena. Like, there's a lot of horses. Pammy Hutton used to say, when she was being brutal to us all on riding dressage, rightly so in my case, she used to say, when you look at a horse do the final halt, they'll walk out of the arena and they'll do the much better walk than they did in the arena, because we can't ride. And when we're trying to, when we just stop doing everything, the horse relaxes. And when we stop trying to ask them to do dressage, that used to be, when you watch people walking out of the arena now, the horses are countering off. Like, they're like having to keep them quiet and whatever. It is tense down there. It's obviously a cauldron.
I've got a question.
Go on, Sam.
The atmosphere, I would say, like, look, the size of the stadium. So we don't really do, aside from, I would say, Aachen, which is a bit of a stadium, but it's quite a close one. But even Tokyo, where the stands were empty, because you're going into this weird, I think it's to do with eye lines. You're putting a horse, like an animal, horse is an animal, going into something that they just don't get to compete in stadiums all that, event horses. So sorry, I'm not a great reader. So that was Giles asking me to explain why a championship might be different to 5 stars in terms of London 52's test. Poe and Lemoulin. Where was his other 5-star win? Oh, badminton. Poe and Lemoulin, definitely nicer arenas to compete in. I wouldn't call them atmospheric. Badminton can be. And the one thing I would say on it's not black and white. So Kentucky's a bit of a stadium, and
quite a bit of a stadium.
Yeah, that's quite a big build. Burley, the difference between badminton and Burley, but horses tend to be far more relaxed in the Burley arena than they do at badminton. I can't work that out, but I think quite a lot of people would agree with me.
Do you remember, was it Arctic Soul used to do like 28, 40, 28, 40, like on a student?
And the 28 was always Burley. Like he could.
Yeah, he loved Burley.
So tell me, Nicole, it sounds like you're kind of suggesting there that Ros Cantor is going to be.
Well, put it this way.
Like,
on on expected scores, the 3 horses to go ahead of Tom McEwen, JL Dublin this afternoon are going to be Michael Young, Chipmunk, Laura Collett, London 52, Ross Cantor, Lordship Scraffollet. They're the 3 that should go ahead. It's a case of saying, right, what order? I think Roz, actually, conditions could well play into her favour.
Go on. So you're going for it?
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say Roz. I don't know if she'll lead.
Sorry, Lyra, that's all you're literally doing here. You're just putting 3 horses in order. So,
okay, go on then. I'm going to say end of day today. Michael Young, Roz Cantor, Laura Collett, Tom McEwen.
She won't lead. Okay, just at the end there, chickened out.
But I think that's enough of a disruption.
For me, Michael definitely leads this. I think Chipmunk definitely leads his 6th championship, which you just said as well.
I agree.
Let's do it now then.
I mean, Nicole's kind of giving me like Walter vibes. What Mark
leads at the end?
Michael Young will break the Olympic dressage record. He'll beat David O'Connor, 19.3. Michael Young will do an 18 point something.
Oh, Sam?
I disagree with that. 20.8 for me.
21.7.
He has to be. 21.7 won't get him into the top 10 Olympic tests. Would you believe?
Okay. It would get him into the lead.
It'll get him a rail in hand over Tom McEwen.
It'll get him a rail in hand, which is all that will matter. I think I think it'll be something special. I think the umbrella thing is very interesting. What time is the colour test? Is it in the net? It's about an hour.
It's fairly soon.
Yeah.
Can
I ask everything? Can I ask everyone to do one thing before I'm about to drop? It's probably on all our channels now. Like I know at the top of our Instagram account, I know on our recent Facebook page, you talked about the link to the WhatsApp channel. When you search for us in that updates tab on WhatsApp, you won't find us. And I know people have been asking why you're not on WhatsApp. Stop saying you're on WhatsApp. You're not on WhatsApp. Can't find you. Sending me screenshots of Echo ratings and nothing turning up. So you got to click the link.
Who are all these people? I never get those type of messages. What kind of people?
I'm not in your.
Is it like?
Well, you would know.
Is people like Panda Sue? Is that how it is? Is it Panda Sue?
No, I'm not.
Alex Von Tool.
If people would ever like to send me a message, I'm a safe person to send a message to. I will never complain about I love feedback on it. If you like what we're doing is the link is going to be in this as well. But then you also have to follow because you won't find us again unless you follow. So you remember the 2 things. One is clicking the link. The next is click and follow. Once we're about halfway, once we get to 1,000 followers, then we should be searchable. It's just the way it works. But there's loads of the reason for doing it, but there's so much good stuff in there, like all that different to expected and win chances and all the updates. If you want the Equiritans updates, I know we put them out on social media as well, but if you don't want to go look them on social media and you just want to quickly get into your WhatsApp, they're there. So it's a brilliant channel to be on. You just have to, it's not the most simple way to get into it. That's not our fault. That's just WhatsApp. So really appreciate it.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard though.
If I was struggling to find something in WhatsApp and I thought, who should I message? I'd definitely message UD. No offense, Sam. I'd be totally.
Well, it seems to be happening the other way around.
Yeah. Well, in a sport, no. I think
there's a lot of messages coming in about the rain. Anybody that's out there, I think, is getting thoroughly and utterly soaked. The Brits have had so much experience with this. In terms of how the rain will affect cross country tomorrow, last thing I'm going to say, I actually asked Tina about that this morning. It'll be on the podcast this afternoon that will be out, the diary show, when we review all of the dressage and everything else. So you can tune in there for the full chat. She doesn't think it will because the ground is gravelly. There's good grass cover. She thinks it's going to be okay. Interestingly, she had a very different opinion in terms of what we've heard so far in terms of the influentialness, the influence of the cross country. That word. In terms
what time is this out? What is it on the pod? Is it a podcast?
It'll be on the podcast. It will be out as soon as we have done a dressage review. I'm going to say probably about, say 7:30. It'll be out.
So Tina,
try and get it earlier.
Cross country preview.
Yeah,
is part of tonight's show.
part of tonight's show. And we're going to come on tonight and do a live as well. So we'll be back later to kind of look at what might have happened this afternoon.
Agree. The Aachen got so much rain before it, and those manicured courses, it does drain through quite quickly. But there is one more jumping effort on this course than there was in London, and it is a minute quicker on the optimum time. So they have to jump. They've got like 41 efforts versus 40, but they've got 9 minutes.
The optimum time has been reduced as well. And like it's gone from 9:18 to 9 minutes and 2. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Right, we're going to talk about this later. Team, enjoy this afternoon. Who leads? Guys, just enjoy it. It's going to be lots of fun. And I feel like actually we started this being a bit like, yeah, this morning it was all right. And, blah, 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 and actually we finished all with big smiles on our faces.
I think we started differently. It's been good. More to come.
Bye, guys. See you later. WhatsApp link in the comments, team.